Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. This morning I kind of would like to focus on plants that are unusual in our yards. And they might not be unusual in everyone's yard, but they're unusual in our yards. And take a moment and think what plant that would be for you. I've got a couple that I'd like to share with you. And this first one I'd like to point out is called a porterweed. It's native. It's not native to here, but it is native to South America and Central America. I just love it because it's a wonderful nectar plant for all the pollinators. This one happens to be a red porterweed, and you'll notice it's unusual because it has a very long bloom stalk, but it only blooms on a very certain portion of that bloom stalk. So let me get closer to see if it will focus in on these blooms at all. There we go. And the beautiful thing about a porterweed, I've mentioned in a prior video, is that it replenishes the nectar all day long. And hummingbirds and butterflies and bees and bumblebees, honeybees, carpenter bees, you name it, wasps, all the pollinators absolutely love porterweed. And this one is a red one. I'd like to show you the next porterweed that I have. My purple porterweed is as tall as my fence, and it is just starting to bloom again. I'm going to pan down a little bit, and you will see that I do have it in a pretty good sized pot. And it's leafing out, but it still needs to leaf out quite a bit more. But the blooms on it are wonderful. They are starting to be packed with these gorgeous purple blooms. Let me pan over and see if I can get this guy. And again, I like to have the variety, and so I have 4 different colors of porterweed in the yard. I'm going to focus in, see if I can focus in on this purple porterweed. There we go. You might not be able to tell a large difference between this porterweed and the red porterweed, but I'm going to come up a little bit closer to the bloom. It's not, let me see if I can get this. There we go. It is similar to the red, but the habit isn't similar to the red. This one sprawls out, so I'm going to back up again. And this is probably my least favorite because it has more of a wide habit than it does of a tall habit. So again, pollinators love all of them, so I wanted to have the variety in my yard. Okay, I'm going to show you the next one. I still haven't taken care of this back south bed, but I'm going to show you my last porterweed anyway, so pardon the pot mess. But this is the blue porterweed, and it is definitely has a different habit. It's more slender. The stalks, the bloom stalks, are definitely more slender. It prolifically blooms also. It's just more of a slender, delicate habit. Aw, you can hear the baby birds tweeting there. I don't know if porterweed is readily available at nurseries, but if you do get a chance to pick a plant up, I highly recommend it. They do wonderful in pots. And if you have hummingbirds or butterflies and you'd like to attract them to your yard, this would make a great container plant that you could put up on a patio or next to a sliding door where you could easily see everything that goes on. So even though it is unusual for my yard, it might not be unusual for every yard, but I did want to share that with you. And I'm going to talk about my close second. My close second happens to be a passion vine. And this passion vine's flower isn't particularly pretty, or it's not one of my favorite. It happens to be a cottonleaf passion vine because the leaf is fuzzy. And I like it because it attracts butterflies, and in particular it attracts fritillary butterflies. But I trellis mine, and I have 3 different passion vines that I would like to show you as my honorable mention for unusual plants in my yard. This passion vine is called Belotti, and it is a cross between 2 vines, and it is particularly noted for its gorgeous scent. It has such a fresh, beautiful, refreshing scent. The flower is unique in that it alternates a white and a lavender or pinkish color between the petals. It's certainly a prettier flower than the last one I showed you. And this passion vine is the last passion vine that I have that has actually the prettiest flower, but it is not flowering yet, and it is called Incense. And it has a very deep, large flower, larger than the 2 flowers I've showed you, and it is very striking and very pretty. I have this in a pot. Back up. But I also have, I'm going to come around the front actually. But I also have this trellis. And on all 5 trellises, it will just become a massive, beautiful, thick mat of passion vine and passion vine blooming. And probably about mid to later summer, and then it blooms all the way through frost. So passion vine is definitely a close second for me as unusual plants in the yard, just because of the unique and beautiful flower that they produce. Okay, so anyway, think about what's unique and unusual in your yard. I'm going to kind of focus in here on my porterweed back there amongst the salvia that you see. Think about what's unique in your yard. Do share in the comments. I'd love to find out all the different plants that people enjoy that are unique in your yards. Sorry about that noise. A neighbor's taking care of something, it sounds like, in their yard. Okay. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining me.